So in this problem, cosine of y over 1 minus sine of y equals secant of y plus tangent of y. It's really, really difficult to get a binomial denominator. So even though we might want to work with the right-hand side because then we can add the fractions, it's going to be difficult to get 1 minus sine of y in that denominator. It's not impossible. It's just sometimes hard to do. In this case, it wouldn't be too difficult, but there's another skill that's really, really helpful. So the cosine of y over 1 minus the sine of y. I've got that binomial in the denominator that's linear. Sine is to the first power, so that makes it linear. I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, 1 plus the sine of y. So when I multiply by the conjugate, that's going to give me in the denominator 1 minus sine squared. And we know, after all the practice that we've been getting, 1 minus sine squared is cosine squared. So I'm going to leave the numerator just as a distributive property, a product of two factors. And I'm going to work with that denominator first. So I've got cosine squared of y in the denominator, and then cosine of y times 1 plus sine of y. Now, one of these cosines in the denominator is going to cancel out with the one in the numerator. So in the denominator, I have just cosine of y. And in the numerator, I have 1 plus sine of y. Now that I have a monomial denominator, it's important for you to understand what I'm saying here. So we created a monomial denominator right there. By multiplying by the conjugate, we created a monomial. And that's very, very helpful for us to simplify this. So step 5, 1 over cosine of y plus sine of y over cosine of y now becomes 1 over cosine is secant of y, sine over cosine is tangent of y, and that's exactly what we needed to get to. Now the next one looks kind of fun, so if you'd like to try the next one, feel free, press pause, and then when you're ready to reveal the answer, press play. I'm going to do this one in purple. Sine squared plus cosine squared, I see it right away. That's a beta. Sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. Plus tangent squared of beta. So step 2, we have 1 plus tangent squared of beta. And then step 3, I tan by the c. 1 plus tangent squared of beta is secant squared of beta, and that's equal to secant squared of beta. So you probably got that one. That was kind of a fun one because it was only a 3-stepper. But sometimes you got to look for those things on the left-hand side of the equation. Like I said, sometimes it's gonna come to you just because you've been looking at those flashcards and you see them. You see the identities, and sometimes you just won't be able to explain it. Okay, try and do number 7. See if you can do something with number 7. What I'm going to do with number 7, so don't watch unless you want it spoiled. What I'm going to do with number 7 is I see a couple of things here. I see cosine of theta over sine of theta times, and I'm going to take this cotangent here. Let's use a highlighter. I'm going to take this cotangent and I'm going to make it a fraction. So cotangent is cosine over sine. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that. The numerator is going to stay the same, but I'm going to multiply that denominator out sine cancels out with sine, and I've got cosine of theta. And then step 3, 1 equals 1. Another way that you can think about this, I'll do this in blue. First step, cosine of theta over sine of theta times 1 over cotangent of theta. So just kind of separate out your factors so that you've got a product of two fractions. And then cosine over sine is cotangent of theta. And when you multiply a value by its reciprocal, you get 1. So cotangent times 1 over cotangent is 1. So 1 equals 1. So both are 3-step verifies, proofs. They're both 3 steps. However, it all depends on what you see. So both are great techniques to use. So whichever one you're most comfortable with, that's what you're going to go with. So hopefully you've seen a little bit of, I went to the next screen just to make sure that it was going to be the next lesson. Hopefully you've seen a little bit of everything. You've got Calc Chat to kind of help you along, but please keep in mind that Calc Chat sometimes skips steps. So if you don't understand, and they shouldn't be skipping steps, if you don't understand a certain verify, please ask. Some of these verifies are really challenging. They're meant to be challenging, just to exercise your brain and to work through that problem-solving process. But not for you to get frustrated and angry. So if that happens, please reach out to me.